yoke to Livingston, baby. Look at that.
Came back to the 5-fish limit and a good one.
Hey folks, Randy Howell here. We're back at another event this week. This was stop number 6 on the Bassmaster Elite Series, La Crosse, Wisconsin. This is the one on the schedule I looked at all year and thought, wow, I can't wait to get back there. I made top 12 cut all 3 times I've been to La Crosse. I love slop fishing, I love shallow cranking, and that's what this Mississippi River is all about. We had some very adverse conditions this week, worst weather we've ever had in practice. We dealt with high rising water as we started out the week. It was at 7-foot level, and by the time the third day got here, we were already at 12-foot level, so 4 feet rising every day. I chose to lock through on the second day and go down to pool 9. It worked for me the last couple of times I've been here. This time the flood really messed me up down there. Not 12 o'clock, I had 2 fish, made a move back, survived with a 12-pound limit. Finished up 58, barely missed the cut by a pound. It's disappointing, didn't have the finish that I wanted because I love this place. But the 3 main techniques that I fish with every time I come here, which is slop fishing with the frog, flipping, and the shallow cranking, that'll work anytime you come to this area of the Mississippi River, whether it's flooded or not. So flood got me this time, but I still survived, moved up 2 spots in the points with an average finish, kind of par finish. But let me show you now the 3 techniques and tell you why they work well up here at La Crosse. Well, the first thing I throw when I come to the Mississippi River up here in La Crosse is a frog, because this is the best frog and slop fishing place I think I've ever been. And I live at Lake Guntersville, and frog fishing is really good at Lake Guntersville, but man, this river has so much 6-inch to 2-foot deep slop and duckweed and just grass with lily pads, everything you can think of. Frog fishing is really good, and these fish live so shallow all year up here that they're always looking up. I think they're always feeding up. So first thing I throw is usually a popping frog and a regular frog, depending on the 2. And this week I mixed it up. They wanted a little bit smaller profile this week with the popping frog, so I threw the black popping frog and I mixed it from a black all the way to a white, you know, one extreme to the other. I didn't, you know, color doesn't really matter a lot of times to me on frog, as long as it's dark or light, and you just kind of vary the 2. And then the other one was the bigger body frog, and this is the Livingston Freddie B frog, and this is the one that has the frog sound in it. And this is the one I really love to throw more when they're biting a bigger frog, especially bigger fish, but we're dealing with a lot of 2 to 3-pound fish on this river, having a hard time, you know, getting a bigger frog in their mouth. But definitely you want to throw a Freddie B frog when you're in an area that's got good slop with big fish in it. And I throw that whole setup on the Ishmonroe Elite Tatula frog rod, 7.4. It's a super light rod. I've used it all year. You've seen me talk about it in other techniques, flipping, pitching, but frogging, you can't beat it. The 8.1 Retrieve Tatula SV bait cast reel, and I throw the 70-pound Daiwa Samurai braid, and that's the setup for frog fishing anywhere you go. All right, the second technique I really focus on up here in the Mississippi River, and I've done well every time, is flipping. And it's not just straight up going along flip, flip, flip. It's throwing the frog and flipping back to back. And the first day, 14.5 pounds, half of those 14.5 pounds came flipping, but I would find the flipping bite with the frog. The frog would go across that mat kind of fast, and they would just puff at it or slap at it, and they'll move. Once they make a movement in that duckweed, I can pick the flipping bait up real quick, and I can take that flapping hog and throw it in there or pitch it in there and hit that, and the instant it goes down, you hop it one time, boom, you catch them. It's almost 100% with a follow-up bait here, and that's not usual in most places we go, especially in the southern places, so much pressure, but up here, it's frozen over so long, I think these fish are real aggressive and eager to bite. So the 1-2 punch is usually the half-ounce tungsten Bass Pro XPS weight, the 4-aught Daiichi HD hook, 70-pound braid, still using Ishmonroe. This is the 7.6 Elite flipping rod and 70-pound Samurai braid, and I've got it on the new 8.1 Tatula 100 reel with the big 90mm handle. It's a great setup, very lightweight, and that's the 1-2 punch to catch them with, because they're feeding on crawfish up here. My live well's full of crawfish shells every night, so something dark with a little red or orange in it, and the flapping hog black red flake was my choice. All right, the third technique, I keep it pretty simple up here. The 3 techniques typically, but cranking, my shallow square bill. This is the Howler square bill that I fish with everywhere I go. This was the deal, and I really, looking back now, I wish I'd have done more of cranking with the square bill, because as the water rose quickly every day, those fish that left a lot of the slop and the mats that were around the rock jetty areas, I think they left and came to the current and got on those rocks, and more fish got caught that way. I chose to go more slop fishing because I thought that was where more of the 3-pound plus fish would be, but it turned out that a lot of the bigger fish were caught on the rocks the last few days cranking the crankbait. And the reason I like the Howler Square is unique bait because not only the circuit board lip on it gives it a real hard, wide vibration, but it stays really shallow. And this place here, if your crankbait goes past 3 feet deep, you get grass on it a lot. So eelgrass is really the enemy of a crankbait. So if you keep that bait shallow, use a 16-pound gamma fluorocarbon line, throwing it right against the rocks on those jetties and cranking it fast, those smallmouth and largemouth mix together. And that's what's so fun about this La Crosse area. You catch largemouth and smallmouth in slop, in rock. You know, they mix everywhere together. It's really a unique place. I really like it for that reason. I throw this bait, like always, on my 7-foot Randy Howell Signature Tatula Elite rod. It's made for cranking and jerk baiting. Like I said, heavier line, 16-pound gamma fluorocarbon for that technique. And I've got it on the new Tatula 100 that's being released at ICAST that we can finally talk about now. It's a really sweet reel, very lightweight, so it's more sensitive on your rod because you got a lighter reel in your hand. You can feel the vibration of the crankbait better on the rod. So that's the setup. If you come to La Crosse, make sure you crank those rocks. You're going to catch mixed bag on those rocks, and that's a lot of fun.